And hello again, it's Chris Michaels with Jules Falcone, Dr. Bowling, as we are ready to go for the Senior Boys Competition for the 1983 Junior Bowlers Gazette Top 10 Tournament. And we have two good competitors, pretty evenly matched. It's Jim Callahan versus Walt Frye. I say evenly matched, Jules, because of their competitive and comparative averages, as Jim has averaged 173 in his junior league this year, 176 for Walt Frye. Here's Jim Callahan, the challenger. Boy, there's a split to open things up.
Yeah, pocket split the size. They're right in the pocket, a little bit, just a little high. Got a bad break leaving a 4-9.
Jim Callahan, 17 years old, goes to Del Castle. He's in his 11th grade right now. And here's his attempt at this split. He'll pick up one. Now comes a guy that has really done well in this tournament. Walt Frye of Newark. He's 15 years old. Walt put together a series of 681 at Bolorama and 610 at Holiday Lanes to make his way into the tournament. Jim Callahan bowled a 664 at Price Lanes, so you can tell that these scores are really up here. Walt Frye, his first frame. Oh boy, no argument there from the pins.
And he's got a real nice follow-through. The direction of his follow-through is superb.
So Walt Frye striking in the first frame, and he'll bowl his second frame here. And Jules, you were saying that his form that he showed us so far really doesn't match the average that he's put down on his sheet.
He's much better than his average, and I would say would have to have the edge over a little bit over Jim Callahan, even though their averages are almost identical. He just has his arm swing, his follow through is just better. Of course, Jim Callahan is really coming a long way.
To give you an idea of how evenly matched these guys are right now, highest game ever is identical for both of them. They've both bowled 268 games.
They've one average 176, and the other average is 173, so they're practically interchangeable.
Well, there's a tough break as Walt just doesn't come up with that spare.
Missed the spare.
And he has 28 now after two frames.
That's probably why he's only averaging 176, because he doesn't make spares all the time, huh?
He loves that strike ball. Though,
yeah.
Huh? Jim Callahan, high on the head pin, and he's lucky to get out of that with the 610.
Yeah, very makeable spare. Jim is going to have to free up his swing. You don't get any authority into the ball when you have a closed-up swing like that.
Here's a shot at the spare. Yeah, no question there. As Jim Callahan now has his first mark in the game. It comes in the second frame. And with a strike here, he could go up by a pin over Walt Frye.
Jim is protege of John Thompson.
That's right, John Thompson Jr. is a great coach over at Price Lanes.
Really worked a lot with this boy, and last year Jim averaged 149. This year averaged 173. So John Thompson has really done a good job with this boy, and you like to see that because that keeps their attention. And
that's a 24-pin difference, Jules. What could you do to make that kind of improvement in 1 year?
Well, you have to practice a lot, but then you need a coach who's willing to spend a lot of time. He's bowled in the junior leagues, and I know Johnny Thompson does a great job with the kids over there on Saturday mornings, every morning at Price's, and he's done it for years now. So here's one of the proof of his work.
Walt Frye now bowling in his third frame. A little light on that one. No, the power kicks out the 4-pin there.
A lot of speed.
And leaves him the 8-pin count. Walt Frye says his favorite local bowler is a guy that I bowled with as a Bannerman Jr., Jim Johnson Jr.
Jim Johnson is a real good bowler. In fact, the way he's got this little hitch in his push away is reflective a little bit of Jimmy Johnson.
Walt covers that spare, so now we couldn't ask for a closer game as we have Walt with a 1-pin lead after 3 frames. It's 28-27, both guys with spares in the third now. And Walt will bowl on the lane 47 here at Holiday in the fourth. He's getting the pin set there as he adjusts the scoring system. And now we're set.
Walt had an open here last time. Got a break this time.
Yeah, crossed over, got the strike.
Yeah, he got a break crossing over. He missed a spare there last time. He should probably have a little more success on 47 because it's feeding a little bit more. But he's got an open and a break there. If he gets lined up on the other lane's one should give more trouble. Here comes Jim Callahan.
Jim looking for a strike to stay a pin back. Needs a little help, but that 7-pin won't go.
Not bad. He's got to get a little more extension in his swing because all his follow-throughs are chopped off, and they distort the roll of the ball. The ball never gets into a real heavy roll, and he's using a soft ball, which would automatically give you some roll.
He's got the 7-pin. That coming in the fourth frame, but remember Walt Frye has a strike working in the fourth, and Jim now with a spare in the fourth. Walt with a 2-pin lead after 3 frames. So a good close match so far, Jules.
Yeah, real close match. We're probably going to see this one go down to the 9th, 10th. Practically even game. Let's see what Jim can come up with here on the looser lane.
This is frame 5 for Jim Callahan. He's crossing over, but the 5-9 remains.
A little bit further than Walt Frye did.
Going a little too far, leaves the 2 pins, and Jim now with a count of 64 after 4 frames. Bowling in the 5th. And it's there, so he covers the spare, and we've seen only 2 open frames in 4.5 frames of bowling between these 2 competitors.
Good close game.
And now Walt Frye will go to his 5th, and this is coming in lane 48, and we'll have that in just a moment. Good, Walt.
Sorry.
We're at Holiday Lanes, lane 47 and 48 is where the championships for the Junior Bowlers Gazette taking place. This is the man who is the top seed in this division, the senior boys, Walt Frye. He's working on a strike, crossing over again. Oh,
didn't get the break this time.
The 6-pin remains.
He's going to have to get a little more relaxed. His game's, there's too much stress in his game. He throws the ball hard, a lot of tension. You can see it in his game. He's got to free up. I'm sure he frees up in practice, but he's not too free today.
He's got that one. And continuing now after 3 consecutive frames with a mark. He has a 68 in the 4th. It's a 4-pin lead for Walt Frye as he bowls in the 6th frame. Hope you can edit that out. Okay. Walt Frye in the 6th. 4-pin lead.
He's just throwing the ball too hard. He just is not giving himself a chance. He's ripping the ball out of that backswing, which is just going to distort his whole game.
So he is now with a count of 87 after 5 frames, looking to pick up the lone 5-pin.
That was a better shot. Almost missed the 5-pin. Was a better shot, though. It was the best shot he made.
As far as his mechanics were concerned.
Mechanics there, of course, yeah.
All right, so Walt with the spare in the 6th. Jim Callahan is up in the 6th frame now, and it's a very close game. Jim is looking for his first strike in this game. He was spared his last 4 frames, opening in the 1st. It's a little high, but it goes.
All right, good shot.
Jim Callahan with a strike in the 6th, and that closes things up just a bit. It's a 3-pin lead for Walt, but remember, Jim has the strike working in the 6th. Walt with a spare in the 6th.
Let's watch Jim this time. Watch as he follows through. His right leg follows him, follows right behind him, and the follow-through gets chopped off. That's what he's got to change. He's got to keep the trail leg back. Now let's watch. That was his best shot, mechanically.
And we've got that tough shot that was made earlier in this tournament by one of the younger girls. And Jim's a little unhappy with the circumstances there. The 1, 2, 4, 10. Not an easy shot at all. And with both of these competitors marking all the time, let's watch it. Oh, he's got 3 of them.
Got 3 of them.
The hard 3, but he left the head pin there. And that's the first open frame since Walt Frye left open frame in the second. Jim Callahan there.
All right, let's watch Walt this time. Let's see. Watch when he, at the top of the backswing, if he just relaxes it out of the backswing, he'll throw a decent shot.
Walt Frye from Newark High School.
Too much effort.
And that 10 pin won't go.
Just a little too hard doesn't give him the break. He threw the ball right in the pocket, didn't carry. He's got a little too much effort into that, pulling that ball out of the backswing.
And as always, Jules, when your competitor has an open frame, you really want to go at him and make that mark.
Both feet.
So Jim Callahan did open in the 7th. Walt, if he gets the spare, is in as much control as we've seen in this match. And there it is.
Yeah.
Good cover of the 10 pin.
4 pins now.
That's Walt Frye. He's 15 years old, 10th grade at Newark High School. Says one of his favorite subjects is computers.
Wide open field.
It certainly is, and he's seems like a guy who would do a lot of calculating out here on the bowling lanes. And there's certainly a lot of that in this sport as he leaves the 5 pin there.
I know he didn't feed that crossover into his computer. I know that.
Not quite in the formula, as they say, and he now has a count of 135 in the 7th, and that is a 23-pin lead for Walt Frye here in the senior division, the major senior division for the juniors in the Junior Bowlers Gazette tournament. Walt covers that one, and his only open frame was in the 2nd when he overpowered the 2-4-5 and left the 5-pin standing. Now Jim Callahan has his work cut out for him as he had that open in the 7th. There's a shot. Looks good, and is. Ooh boy, it's all there. Jim Callahan with only his 2nd strike in the game, and both of those coming on the 48 lane.
Yeah, but even this shot on where he left a washout wasn't a bad shot as compared to some of the ones earlier in the game where he just chopped off the follow-throughs because of that trail leg. See what he does with this one.
Maybe he's coming around just in time. This game is certainly not over for Jim Callahan.
That's right. Could sure use this one.
Another strike here would really put him in control. Uh-oh. Well, he was lucky getting those last 2 pins to fall. But the 4-7 stands and was, you say, fairly easy spare.
Fairly easy, yeah. I think he might need a little help from Walt Frye here to get him back in the match. I don't know if Walt's in the mood to cooperate, though. He doesn't look like it.
Callahan's there with his spare in the 9th. That leaves him with 132 in the 8th frame, and that now is the 23-pin lead stays for Walt Frye. Well, didn't cross over, just plain high on the head pin, and again.
Still got a tough spare with that baby split.
This is a key moment in this game, as Walt has been making all his spares, except for that one that we were speaking of, and he could open the door if he doesn't get it. So Jim Callahan.
He'll cut his lead in half if he doesn't make it. If he does make it, it'll practically close the door.
There it is.
Just like right out of the book.
Wonderful spare cover by Walt Frye, and
leaves him in command.
He's going to go into the 10th frame with that 23-pin lead. Walt, by the way, was in last year's tournament as a junior bowler. Finished 3rd behind Mike Podrowski, who finished up 2nd. Walt only lost that game by 4 pins. He's a tough competitor, has been for a couple of years. Bowling in the 10th is Walt Frye. He will not get his 200 game this time. Put a mark here, and a good count would give him a 190 at least.
Looks like that'll be a winner if he spares. Jim Callahan can only get 182.
So if Walt makes this, he's our winner.
Look at him.
Uh-oh, there's trouble. He's left the door open for Jim Callahan, but Jim has a tall order. He's got to strike out to win.
He needs them all. Classic Casey comes to bat finish.
That's it. Walt's opened the door with that open frame in the 10th, and now Jim Callahan. Jim's had 2 strikes here, but they came on lane 48. And he gets the bowl on 48, so maybe the combination is right for him. See what happens. He needs them all.
Wide.
Wide. There's a 7-pin count. That's going to do it.
Give him a chance anyway.
Yep, it was that tough 7th frame that I think did Jim in, huh?
Yeah, and it was one of his better shots of the game.
Left that washout, as you said, and couldn't cover it, and that was the end, really. As Jim will finish off this game, taking a spare, and if he strikes here, it'll be a 169 for him, and a 12-pin win for Walt Frye. So Walt Frye from Newark High School, 15 years old, is going to be our champion of the major senior division here in the Junior Bowlers Championship. The top 10 of each division bowled in a set of 3 different areas: Price Lanes, Bowl-O-Rama, and Holiday. And the top 5 qualifiers came here today in a step-up tournament. Jim Callahan made that final step, but fell a little bit short in his championship try against Walt Frye. So there you have it, the 2 competitors there, and the champion, the man on the left, Walt Frye. He wins 181 to 169, and that's it. Goodbye, all.
This week on Inside Bowling, we're back again in Limerick, Pennsylvania, and I'm talking with Les Zykes. Les, how long have you been out on the tour?
Well, I've been out here about 14 years. I started out as just kind of a part-time player, and it kind of grew, and I became a touring player, and now I'm back to not bowling that many tournaments. This year I've only bowled like 9 tournaments.
What got you interested in bowling?
Well, I started very young. My father had a bowling center in southern Indiana, and I was about 12 years old, and actually I was so interested in baseball I kind of let bowling be a sideline, but as the years grew on, I bowled and bowled and bowled, so, and I kind of gave up baseball. I guess I made the right decision, I guess.
I think you did. When did you make the decision to try the Pro Tour?
It was 1968. I had bowled as an amateur in the World Tournament and won 8 gold medals, and at the time I said I would never join the Pro Tour because I didn't think I wanted to travel that much. But in 1968 I decided to bowl, and in 69 I won my first title. So I've been out here ever since.
What have you noticed about lane conditioning since 1968 to now? How are the lanes and the pins different today than they were when you first started?
Well, when I first started to bowl, I started to bowl when we had the wooden pins. And then came along the plastic coated, and that changed the game quite a bit. It took away from the heavy rolling ball that it took to knock the wood pin down. And then the lacquers, when I started to bowl, I threw a slow hook and everything. And now we have the urethanes and the astral lanes and even the artificial lane. Well, the game has changed a lot. I've tried to change with it. I've done fairly well with the change, but not 100%.
What do you think of the new lanes, the laminated lanes?
Well, I've only bowled on them 3 or 4 times. I think I made the finals in the Masters tournament on them, but the other times I've bowled on them, I haven't done that well. So they seem to be extreme. They just seem to be extremely oiled and the ball goes straight, or when they dry up, the ball hooks a lot. I just haven't really bowled on them that much, so I really can't say that much more about it.
How many stops are you going to make this year?
Well, I've made 9 up until now. This will be my 10th one, so I won't be a touring player next year because I think I have to have at least 16 tournaments in. So next year will be the first time in about 10 years that I haven't been a touring player.
What is the difference between the touring player? What are the different categories?
Well, the Touring 2 has to bowl half the tournaments, and the Touring 1 has to bowl 2/3 the tournaments. Now, for a fellow to keep his eligibility for the Firestone, he has to bowl 2/3 the tournament unless he's won 10 titles. Then he has to bowl 1/2 the tournaments. So in my case, if I want to bowl in the Firestone the following year, I'd have to go back and be a Touring 1, which would be bowling 2/3 of the tournaments.
Well, we certainly hope to see you this winter on TV a couple times at least, and thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back with more of the Bowlers Gazette right after this.
This is Chris Michaels. Along with me is Jules Falcone, Dr. Bowl, and we are here to bring you the Senior Girls Competition in the Junior Top 10 for the Junior Bowlers Gazette. And this time around, well, a couple of people we saw last year, Michele Durand and Debbie Quesenberry, and they will be bowling this time in the Seniors Competition.
It's like a rematch from last year. I think Michele won last year, but if I remember, Debbie had a sore leg. She got spiked or something, so maybe she's going to change the picture around here this time.
Michele Durand won by 13 pins in last year's final, 158 to 145. And this is Michele opening things up.
This is Debbie.
Whoops. I'm sorry, I was going by the scorecard up top and was not paying attention to who was on the lane.
She's left a pretty difficult spare here. That 278 is not an easy spare for anybody.
But she covers it.
Covers it up. Great shot.
Good cover by Debbie Quesenberry. And now Michele Durand will take to the lanes. This time, this year though, Jules, Debbie Quesenberry was the #1 seed going into this, and Michele had to fight her way back instead of last year when Michele was on top and just plain waited for everyone to come to her.
None of that counts now. This is all that counts.
Very true, and Michele opening up with an 8 count as the 4 and 8 stand.
Okay, that's not the most difficult spare in the world, but it's not that easy. Let's see what happens here.
Michele defeated Wendy White earlier, 175 to 166 to make it onto the show, and here she opens up the first frame.
Michele sort of really ends up far behind that foul line. I don't know if she would do any better up further or not, because her balance is pretty good. She controls her swing a little bit. It might be better if she relaxed her swing and moved up. But to find out where the right place for her to start would be take a little bit of freeing up of that swing before you get her real distance that she'll need.
At the last second, the 10-pin falls, leaves her a 9-pin count. She has a 9 in the first. Michele, you'd have to say, may have the advantage here at Holiday. I'm looking at the sets that both of these bowlers had at Holiday earlier in the preliminaries. Michele with a 524 series and Debbie with a 458 series. So Michele has been the better bowler here at Holiday, and here she covers the spare.
Well, that really doesn't mean a lot, when one game. And Debbie has picked up an LT48, which is probably going to give her the edge on this 48 alley. Because nobody has had a shot on 48. As evidence there, she just got a strike on 48 with as much power as anybody who's bowled there.
Well, with that strike, she has that early lead, score of 20 in the first frame, now that strike in the second.
Of course, if you remember, 47 was the one hooking more, so if she can adjust to this 47, she's a good enough bowler to start throwing some strikes. Unlike if you remember the little kids had a lot of, their spares were much more important. Well, now these are bigger kids, and they throw a few more strikes than the young guys.
Quesenberry, well.
Look at that, just push the whole rack out.
Just threw everything to the left side, and sure enough, the 7-pin finally goes, and it's a double now for Debbie Quesenberry.
I think that ball, that LT48, is going to give her an advantage on this particular pair. And I'm not an advocate of soft balls, but she's going to have an advantage with that ball.
Michele Durand sliding by a bit and leaves a 6-pin count.
Nice swing. Michele has a nice swing, good follow through, a lot of confidence in her approach.
She has a 20.
Just a little looser, give her a little bit of an edge. You should do better on this lane. Still a little light. You'll lose your spare than that 4-pin spare she had last time. She's going to have to start putting something together here because Debbie's already got a double.
It's the 2-4-5 that Michele will try and cover. Michele with a season's average of 162 in the Silverside Juniors.
Oh, in trouble.
Covers only the 5-pin there, and that gives her a count of only 39 in the 4th frame. That looks like a tall order for her now as Debbie has come out with a spare and 2 strikes in the first 3 frames.
We saw Jeffrey Clark come back from a 35-pin deficit in the 5th frame.
That's true. He came roaring back and won his game with Greg Grzinski in the prep Bantam division. Debbie's a little high on the head pin this time and leaves an 8 count.
This is a very makeable spare. She shouldn't lose this one.
Sure enough, she's got it. That spare gives her 68 in the 3rd frame, a spare in the 4th.
These are, for 16 years old, both of these girls have a lot of bowling experience, and anything can happen.
You can see that they're poised and performing well. And Debbie has done well in state tournaments throughout her career, winning the state singles, the state team, part of the team that won the state team titles, also the city singles. And Michele, of course, bowled against Debbie in the championship last year in this tournament and won. Debbie is looking very strong presently. Another strike in the 5th. That gives her an 88 with a strike working. So we are through 5 frames for Debbie, and 88 is her score in the 4th with a strike working in the 5th. And we are going to be right back in just a moment. 5th frame, it's Michele Durand, and Michele has certainly got her work cut out for her, Jules, as she's down by 49 pins.
That's a lot of pins for anybody.
Very true. And once again, light on that head pin.
Yes, 3 in a row she's been light, and she missed the spares all the same way, all to the right. She's going to have to make a move here soon because, well, she's still got 6 frames left, and it's not over. But she's going to have to get her act together here. Better shape on that one.
Yep, she's got that one. And that's what you really need to shake off any problems that you had in the early going. A nice mark to build the confidence up, and that's what Michele needs. Is she's got quite a task ahead of her.
Yeah, she's got to change the momentum of the game. She's got to swing the momentum to her side, and she may not have enough time.
One's right there.
Right. That'll help swing some momentum.
Certainly will. A strike in the 6th for Michele Durand, and now with a 59 count after 5 frames. Debbie Quesenberry here. She's struck 3 out of the 5 frames and covered her spares the other 2 times, and you can't ask for more than that from a 16-year-old.
And she's working on a strike right now.
Goes to McCain High School.
Little short on that follow through that time. She sort of wanted to place the balls. She didn't have as nice rhythm as she's had the last couple shots on this alley.
And as you noted earlier, she's quite an athlete. She hurt herself playing softball last year, and that affected her play in this tournament. So this year, well, no limp or anything like that.
She looks healthy to me.
And here you go, a spare covered by Debbie, and that's a very good shot on the 1, 2, 4, 7.
Big spare. Keeps her in command. She's got the edge on the ball, so the ball's going to give her somewhat of an edge. She's in good shape.
Jules, I noticed that she has an extra hole drilled in that ball. I'm trying to see if you can see it on the screen. Yes. There it is. You see it, she's kind of pointing to it there. Can you explain to us what that is?
Yeah, it's a hole made on the negative side of the ball to just to take weight out of the negative side. It automatically makes the positive side heavier. Positive weight retards the roll. So by retarding the roll, it'll get the ball to skid through your target, and then when it grabs, it'll all grab on the end. Weights only do one of two things. They'll either retard the roll or accelerate the roll. You accelerate the roll by putting weight in the negative side, and you retard the roll by putting weight in the positive side.
So she's come up with another spare there. 127 in the 6th with the spare working in the 7th. And here's Michele Durand, and she's a little high. Oh, got a break as that 7-pin fell out of there.
And a very makeable spare. Michelle's got to get her hand more behind the ball. All of her shots are, her hand is too high on the ball. It's in the right position as far as hand position, but it's so high that you can't lift the ball with the fingers on top. So she's going to have to get her hand down. Come through behind the ball.
She's got that spare in the 7th frame, a count of 79 in the 6th. But again, a tall order as she is down by 48 pins.
Well, it seems like she has straightened out. She has 3 marks in a row, but Debbie just come out of there like a tiger, so that may be a problem.
Ball's just a bit high, 4 7s left.
Real close, though. Sort of lost her balance a little bit.
And Michele checking the score just above her there and taking note of what has been filled in. It hasn't been a very happy picture for her in this game so far. So she goes at it, and she's got that spare.
4 marks in a row.
And that's what you need to even have a chance in the game, is just keep marking and hope for the best. Now Debbie Quesenberry is coming up. She's got that spare in the 7th as she bowls here in the 8th frame. 127 is her count in the 6th.
She's allowing her trail leg to follow her to the foul line now. And when the trail leg follows you to the foul line, it automatically eliminates the counterbalance that you need to have a good follow-through. So as the trail leg follows you, it cuts off your follow-through.
Well, she has the 9 count.
See how the trail leg stayed back that time? The follow-through went out in front of her?
When she covers the spare, she's covered all her spares, 5 of them so far. Also 3 strikes, 1 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, and 1 in the 5th. And she's pretty much in control here. 49-pin lead as we go to the 9th.
She's going at a 2:06 pace with just a strike spare start.
And her highest game is 243. Highest this season, a 224 game. And she puts them all in the pit that time.
Another
Big strike.
A little light, but that soft ball gives you that edge on them on light shots.
And so it appears unless something amazing happens here in this final frame and a half, that Debbie Quesenberry is going to, well, come back for a little revenge from last year. Michele Durand winning the junior title last year over Debbie, and this year it looks like it's going to go the other way. As Michele with a 6 count there fills in 113 in the 8th frame.
I like Michelle's balance. She gets her hand behind that ball. She's going to be a good player for a lot of years.
Had a good cover of that one. 1, 2, 8, 9 go down for Michele, but it's all academic now as we take a look at the score. It's Debbie in such a lead that Michele can't even catch her with a strikeout.
Yeah, and she's got 5 straight marks in a row, so it's almost not her fault, just that Debbie's been overwhelming.
That's right. She had Michele with a couple of open frames early, but Debbie has been so solid, not a miss at all, that it's her ball game. Michele finishing up with a flurry. That's her 2nd strike of the game. If she strikes out, she'll have a 153 game.
Which was a good, respectable game, just about her average, a little under her average, a mark under her average. Her average is 162 this year, 164 last year. She'll be a little bit under that today.
And it's another strike for Michele. So
from the 5th frame, she was flawless.
Question of a little bit too little, too late.
Too little, too late.
As with a good count here, she'll end up with at least a 150 game.
And a very good effort.
She'll get a good hand from the crowd. She just a pin shy of striking out in the 10th. 152 is her final score. Michele Durand.
Good game.
And here's here she comes, the champion of the senior division, Debbie Quesenberry. Let's see if Debbie can do it. She's working hard for the 200 game. And she leaves a 7-pin count. Now,
Yeah, a little high.
Jules, I heard one of the holes rolling on the way down there. Does that negative weight hole ever hit the lane?
Now that was a thumb hole.
Thumb hole?
See, where you put that negative weight, that hole is in the axis of the track, which is the center of the furthest distance from the track in the center, but the furthest, there's not even a remote possibility that hole could hit the lane.
Call an open
That had to
frame.
be the thumb hole.
Debbie finally an open frame in the 10th, and it's all over. She has won by 40 pins, 192 to 152 over Michele Durand. So Debbie comes back after losing the junior championship to Michele last year to win the senior division championship this year here at Holiday Lanes for the Junior Bowlers Gazette. And we'll be back.